Hi everyone, welcome. This is my fun members only, so you can watch it, but you have to be. Oh, hi, Strange Fruit. How are you? I'm so happy you caught it too. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for watching. So basically, everybody can watch it, but you have to be a member to ask me questions. I'll do a general reading, and then if you want to ask personal questions after, be my guest. It would be my pleasure, actually. Okay, so I'm going to start off like I usually do with just a little background story about full moon in Libra. It is Aries season. It's almost the end of Aries season. We're going to be talking about how balance is such an important aspect of our lives. Libra is about balance, and a lot of people say that Libras are good at balance. I would say the opposite. One of my mentors, she actually has a tarot channel. It's called Soulful Revolution. And she speaks about how Libra, it's not about being balanced, it's about finding balance. And especially this full moon in Libra is very important to add balance. And you might see the numbers 222, 333, the numbers of balance. You might kind of feel like you need to excuse me, that you need to sleep more, that you need to do other things to kind of energize you. And so, with that being said, Libra, especially being an air sign, the poignant energy of full moon in Libra can really highlight aspects of your life that you need to find balance in. And it could be things showing up in your past, things, you not necessarily finding peace about certain aspects of your life. Maybe you feel like you need to be more successful and you're chasing that, but you need to realize that it will all come if you practice more abundance and so forth. So rather, instead of seeking balance outward, seek balance within. So I always read from Moon Omens. I love this blog of theirs that they have when it comes to astrology. And I'm going to read this out to you. So it's by Moon Omens, and it speaks about the full moon in Libra. And it says it will occur on April 8th, 7:03 a.m., which is, I believe, Eastern time. And on April, yes, okay, so it's 8:21 Eastern time, 8:21 p.m. Eastern time. So on April 12th, excuse me, I read the wrong date. A full moon at 23 degrees 19. Forgot what that comma means. Of Libra lights up the night sky. Just a few more minutes after the full moon peaks, Libra's ruler Venus stations direct in Pisces, making a turning point in your journey of personal and relational maturation. This full moon, tightly opposing Chiron, acts as a mirror on the wall, revealing unhealed wounds. That's what I was talking about, dysfunctional patterns, and deep truths about ourselves, and our relationship. So, especially after watching the finale of White Lotus on Sunday, so I feel like most people have watched. It speaks about this a lot, about balance, about healing inner wounds, and something that brought out, I don't know, something that really, and I did a video about it. I'm going to edit it and it'll be out very soon for the public. It'll be out for members tomorrow. But something that I discovered when I was watching The White Lotus, what it brought out in me is that I heavily related season 3. If you haven't watched it, actually, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but I heavily related to Chelsea and her character and her relationship that she has with Rick. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it for you, because that's not what this video is about. But something that it highlighted to me was how I was attached, and this was a wound that I had to heal myself. I'm just giving an example. I was attached to people, especially the Sun and Aquarius. We love people like this. I've had to outgrow my need to fix people, which showed up a lot in romantic relationships. But I was drawn to people that had tragic stories and I wanted to save them. And I've had to learn to not come from a place of better than, of being a savior, and not seeing myself as higher than when I am an equal. And when we ask to be an equal in relationships or an equal in circumstances with our friends or family, being an equal requires vulnerability. That's really all it is. And being an equal requires you saying, I respect you, you respect me, and not necessarily acting as though I'm better than, or if that person's better than, because I think sometimes with society, if you date a man, which I've done before, who has more money than I do, I didn't feel like an equal sometimes, because I feel like they could just buy their way through life, and I felt like they could just buy me, and it's not a good feeling. So the biggest equator of the human experience is respect and vulnerability. And I see here, especially when we talk about being on an equal level, that's balance too. So how can we equalize our experience with others? And how can we respect ourselves with others and not come from a place of they're better than me, I'm better than them, but healing that wound too. Healing the wound of needing to chase success, needing to chase things that are outside of ourselves to be happy when the balance is within. I don't know if that makes any sense. Strange Fruit says, thank you so much. I still relate to the Aquarius need to save in a way. Even if our intentions are good, we need to let people find their own personal power. Oh my gosh, so true. I was actually having a discussion with a colleague about it. And we were just talking about how, the older we've gotten, we need to understand. And sometimes when I meet younger people, I feel as though, oh my gosh, they should know. And then I have to remind myself, I was there too, And that's the thing. Equalizing balance is they are human, I'm human. How can I see from their perspective too? And I think that's another good concept to bring with this full moon. So the full moon in Libra is particularly relevant to individuals born, with personal placements around the 23rd degree. Cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. The individuals personally impacted by this full moon are more likely to experience turning points and revelations that strongly impact their lives and relationships. They will be able to see with clarity the root of long-standing relational patterns, as well as changes and adjustments that need to be made to achieve greater alignment and harmony. I'm only laughing because when I read that out, 3 people I know that are Capricorns who I've been, when I was in my shadow side, up until the past year, I wanted them to see that they had to learn, they had to grow, they had to evolve, they had to be vulnerable. And that was my shadow side, needing to fix them and saying to them, hey, you are like this, you need to change, And it's very frustrating sometimes to just let people find their own personal journey. But Strange Fruit, like you said, it's their journey. We invite you to watch. Okay, so they have a YouTube video. You can check it out. Feel free. And full moon in Libra, opportunity to see clearly. Once a month, full moon offers us an opportunity to see something normally unconscious. As the moon moves directly across the sunlight illuminates what has been going on beneath the surface. Full moons are the peak moment of a lunar cycle. They facilitate emotional releases and come with a sense of culmination or closure. These events offer us the chance to integrate what we have learned and encourage us to let go of what no longer serves our growth. And a full moon, the sun and the moon are an exact opposition, a 180-degree angle. Oppositions are aspects of awareness, revelation, and clarity. When 2 planets directly face one another, we have an opportunity to see with greater precision both ourselves and other in the other, and the other in ourselves. And that's what I was literally talking about. So funny. Everything I spoke about this article is covering is that, you know, the equalizer is vulnerability and compassion and what's the word I'm looking for? But being able to see things from a different perspective, a perspective other than myself. I'll give you guys an example, right? So my electricity's been going out for the past 2 days because they've been working on my electricity and they keep switching it off. And I keep, you know, I got very frustrated today. I got frustrated on Monday, they switched it off, they didn't tell me. Then I get a text from my landlord. Then I get frustrated today because they did it again. And he was like, "Are you home? I need to come in." And I was like, "You need to give me a day notice, you know?" And when I read his text, I wanted, inside of me, I thought to myself, I am going to tell him off, you know? I was like, how can I be polite about telling him off? And then I thought to myself, let me see things from his perspective, because, you know, in therapy, they teach you that. And for the past 10 years, when I was in and out of therapy, for the past 10 years, I've really been trying to practice what I have continually learned in therapy and seeing things from other perspectives. So I thought to myself, how would he feel? You know, he's been very nice to me, he's been very kind to me. Let me give him the benefit of the doubt. And let me just explain to him my boundaries without being mean. Just explain to him, you're busy, so am I. Please just let me know a day in advance. And I didn't burst out at him like I wanted to. Trust me, I was like, this makes no sense. But not everybody will see things from your perspective, and vice versa. And I really feel like the equalizer, the balancer is communication and vulnerability. But yeah, that's just an example. Is that I just experienced this. I wanted to lose my ish. And I was like, Holly, that's not going to get you anywhere, you know, and he's going to lose respect for you. You're going to sever a relationship just because you need to say your piece. Sometimes it's not worth it. You can be respectful about it. So, just saying that. I experienced it. I had to look within myself and think, okay, would he feel? You know, how does he feel? And it's not easy because, trust me, I was like, they need to stop switching on my electricity. It's frustrating, but also he's human, and I don't want to use people as a punching bag. But anyways, despite not being in eclipse, the full moon is in Libra is a powerful one. Technically, we are still in eclipse season since the current lunar cycle began with the new moon solar eclipse in Aries that occurred on March 29th. However, this full moon also marks the completion of a longer 6-month cycle that started on October 2nd, 2024, with the new moon and solar eclipse in Libra. I remember that. Eclipses' effects are set to unfold for 6 months. Wow. And around this time, we will be able to gain a deeper awareness of the purpose of a process we began then and witness the blossoming of the seeds we planted. Very interesting. That definitely resonates to me a lot. I can't share with you why yet. I will share very soon, but it resonates a whole lot. It involves me kind of speaking up for myself and setting boundaries, but it's very, very interesting. Okay, last little bit. Moreover, the full moon's ruler, Venus, is ending her retrograde journey as the full moon in Libra peaks. There is another indicator of the greater relevance of this event. These days, there is a higher likelihood of experiencing significant revelations, flashes of insight, and access to a new understanding of where we are at in our journey and what we are supposed to learn from our experiences. So, very, very profound. Let's get into the reading. So, I'm going to do a general reading. I'm going to do love, abundance, and then I will take your questions if you have any. I'm using the Crystal Magic Tarot for this, by the way. So let's look at love, love, love. Okay, so I have here, there's somebody, 9 of Cups, that wants to say sorry to you, but it's almost like they're not very good at saying sorry. they Ace of Wands, Five of Cups want to kind of buy their way. You might work with them too. They want to kind of buy their way to saying sorry to you. You might not be speaking to them. They are keeping tabs on you. You might have dreams about them. This is what I found. Okay, guys, let me tell you a creepy story. So a long time ago, I used to date this guy. I've spoken about him quite a bit because he was my longest relationship. I don't want to say too much about it, other than I became sober 10 years ago. I've drank since then, but at that time I was sober. And one time I feel like when I'm sober, I have very intense dreams, and a lot of my dreams come true. So one time I had this dream that I was at work and I saw my ex outside, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's following me. And so one time it was Hurricane Sandy. I remember this because it was 10 years ago. Crazy how Hurricane Sandy was 10 years ago. Oh my goodness me. Yeah, it was 2000. No, it was 12 years ago. I lied. So Hurricane Sandy was a horrible hurricane that devastated New York. There was lots of flooding, blah, blah, blah. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. New Jersey was underwater. I love New Jersey. I think it's only recently that the New York train system has come back from that. Anyways, long story short, I went to work because I was able to get to work. Most people weren't able to get to work, but I went to work. And I was working that weekend. I was working in the West Village. I used to work on Hudson Street. Oh my gosh, good times, very, very good times. I'm only smiling because I speak to one of my really good friends, was the manager there, and I was telling her the story the other day. We're just remembering the story. And a couple had left their credit card, and there was like this balcony that went out into the street. And I went running after the couple, and I was like, hey, hey, hey. And I hung my hand over the railing, and I gave them the card, and I was like, you left your credit card. And they were like, oh, thank you so much. And I saw somebody staring at me, like, briefly. I turned to my left, and it's my ex, and he acted like I couldn't see him. Or, we locked eyes, and he was like, freaked out that I saw him, and then he ran away. So I'm just saying stuff like that, is that this person does that. This person, you probably have dreams about them because they're keeping an eye on you, a very close eye on you. And some of you, it's through their work, it's through friends, but they're keeping a very, very close. It's almost like they want to come to talk to you, and every time they do, they're like, they're like, very interesting. But this person lacks vulnerability. Let's see more about them. When are they going to come forward? So some of you, springtime, they're going to reach out to you. It's almost like they're watching you live your life. And Queen of Swords, Page of Cups, and Five of Swords. They're watching you live your life, and it's making them really sad that they can't be a part of it. I'm only smiling because I know at least 2-3 Capricorn people that I was involved with that are very much like this. Where you told them no. And when you told them no, that's when they kind of came to their senses. They're like, daydreaming about you, Page of Cups. This person is the love of my life. I let them go. They probably spoke about you to other people. But then to you, they're like, I get a lot of energy that this person has an imposter syndrome, where they never really believe things are theirs. They constantly feel like they have to prove something. So the fact that you loved them was not reason enough to be with you, because they don't believe in themselves. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes sense. They don't believe in themselves, so they feel like anybody who would, it's very sad, but that's what I have to learn. Okay, so let's move to abundance and career. Okay, so for some of you, I see a new job coming in August. something very creative. Queen of Wands, Page of Coins, Five of Wands. It's almost like you're going to start a new venture by August. In October, I see a windfall of money, Eight of Coins, Ten of Cups, Knight of Cups. Yeah, I see a windfall of money and a prospect new love coming attached to this work. I always believe don't date where you work. But this person's coming, there might be something creative that they're coming in to do. So if you can have boundaries, I don't believe in dating at work. If you can't have boundaries in a work situation, this person's coming forward to tell you something. But I see lots of money coming in October. October is going to be a very good financial season, which is funny. That's Libra season. So 3 Empress in reverse, Knight of Swords, and 4 Wands. It's going to be lots of celebrating. Summertime, it's going to be lots of celebrating. Drink a lot of water, please, guys. Drink a lot of water. Electrolytes, especially if you drink. I don't drink. I don't miss the hangovers. I don't judge people who drink. I get really bad headaches when I drink, so I stop drinking. Especially the day after, I feel like crap. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? So yeah, so that's what I have for you in terms of abundance. Lots of money coming in October. Basically, the whole theme is that you reap what you sow. So in 6 months, it will be October, right? May, June, July, August, September, October. What are these next 6 months going to look like for you? Also, I highly recommend doing like a visual, maybe writing something on your mirror. I'm very visual, so I like to have visual ideas. I put things on my calendar. It really helps. And also words of encouragement to yourself, rewarding yourself, saying, okay, I have this goal. You meet the goal, buy yourself something. Nothing too expensive, but just as a thank you to yourself for getting something done that you need to get done. But in 6 months, if you reap now what you sow, what you reap will be benefited in 6 months. Highly, highly benefited. So now is the right time to put in the effort, to put in what you need to, because it will come back to you. I guarantee you. So I have for you guys. Does anybody have any personal questions before I end? That's a member. If you have the butterfly next to your name, feel free, you can ask me personal questions. I'm gonna get back to editing after this. I might rewatch season 1. Oh, okay. Strange for you have a question. Okay. My question is on or off again relationship of my life with a Taurus man. It's been hard to let go. Where do you see that going? Do you have any advice for me? Okay. So there's something to do with his mother. His mother is very has a lot of high expectations. Judgment, Hierophant, Taurus card, 7 of Swords. So his mother's very, you have to live things this way, and wants to kind of wants to tell him how to live his life. And a part of that is you have to marry this type of person, to be seen with this type of person. I remember you saying you're creative, right? And I think his mother is influencing him to not want to be with a creative. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. But his mother's very heavily influenced. It's almost like he listens to his mother, even though he's completely different to his mother. I think he's a creative too, but he has very outdated beliefs. He might even come from and I'm not saying this about religious people. Just some religious people can be very outdated in terms of modern beliefs. And he seems like that. He seems like he's very outdated. He hasn't really lived life. The troubling thing about Taurus, I love Taurus, but something that I've only come to love Taurus now because of that, they can be very fixed-minded. They can be very stubborn, and not stubborn in a sense that is goal-oriented, but it's in a sense that I can't see anything else than what I'm focused on. and that can be very blinding. And I think especially with his relationships, he hasn't been able to see the other side, where the other person is coming from. He gets very stuck on, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And Hierophant 7 Swords, he often cuts off people because of that. And I think he might have cut you off at some point because you felt differently about something. But he has this idea, especially about his mother. His mother's perfect to him. And he's very black and white about people. And I know you're an Aquarius. It's very hard for us to be with people like that. We can love them, but it's hard to us to have continued relationships with people like that. So King of Swords, 7 of Wands, 6 of Swords. I recommend you have a conversation with him and ask him his intentions. And something that I've found, has been a real theme lately in my life is that time gives you closure. Sometimes we look for other people to be closure. I've done that before. That's why I was in an unhealthy relationship for a long time with a Capricorn. But I think he taught me the biggest lessons that I've learned and I've carried through, and I'm very grateful for those lessons. But something he taught me and another Pisces taught me is that time gives you closure. Take it day by day, And when you feel those thoughts coming of, I need this person in my life, we used to do this together, we used to do that together, just acknowledge them, but don't feed into them. And I'm telling you, when you look back, you will be able to understand why it wasn't meant for you. And I know it sounds cliche, trust me. I would have never thought in my life that you would tell me that this man who I used to be with, I would not be with today because I was that invested in him and us. But in time, it gets easier. Time really does make you understand that everything happens for a reason, but it requires patience from us. And Aquarius, we're not the most patient. That's not my strong suit. But if you take it day by day, literally day by day, and find a hobby, find something that feeds your growth, feeds your healing, take on cooking, go watch a movie with friends, go to a spa, do little things for yourself that help time go by and enjoy your days. And after a month, after a year, after 3 years, it will all make sense as to why it didn't work out. So I don't know if that helps at all, but that's what I see. This person is very blocked, very energetically blocked. And as an Aquarius, you cannot be able to tell me like that. Aquarius, our matches in general, and I'm going to talk sun signs and Venus. Your Sun and Venus is in Aquarius. Ideally, Earth signs are not really for us, I'm going to be honest. Earth signs, in fact, should I be saying this one? No, I'm not going to tell you guys. I'm not going to tell you guys my personal story right now because it's happening right now. But in general, I don't think Earth signs are a good match for us. I think good matches for us are Geminis, sometimes Libras. If the Libra is decisive, Gemini, Leos, Aries, and Sagittarius. But earth signs, water signs are very tough for us because they hold secrets. And Aquarius, we don't do well with secrets. We don't do well with secrets in relationships. It is, or if the person is very last communication, doesn't let us in. We don't, you can feel that emotional block. It becomes energetic. You can feel when somebody's energetically blocked off to you, or they have something in their life that's a block. And we don't do well with stuff like that. We need the energy flow to flow. We need the other person to also be as in it as us. Otherwise, it brings us down, honestly. And earth signs can be like that sometimes. They can get stuck in their own way, and it makes us feel like we're doing something wrong when we're really not. It's just the way that we are. And if we are doing something wrong, it's nice to hear that you are, which I find earth signs struggle with. They struggle with telling people how they really feel. Yeah, so that's what I have for you. Strange Fruit, I hope it all works out. I'm sending so much love. And yeah, that's what I have for you guys. So unless anybody has any other questions, I'm going to log off. I'm actually kind of hungry. I'm going to eat and then sleep. I'm very tired. And yeah, I do have 3 videos coming up for members tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Oh yeah, thank you, Holly. That helps so much. Last question, please. My job, career, I returned to an old job because the job search wasn't going so well. Is there any guidance, advice that you have or can give me? I'm scratching my arm. Sorry, guys, if you can hear that. I got bitten by mosquitoes last night. Oh, gosh. And I put on mosquito repellent. But let's see. I'm going to be shuffling. I'm shuffling this card sweep. Wow, this popped out. So, I'm going to be honest with you, Strange Fruit. You have a block. And I want to highly encourage you to meditate. I think, and I don't want to blame you, but I think you attracted this Taurus man as a lesson. I think there is a part of you that feels, I was talking about imposter syndrome, feels like kind of imposter, and you feel like you got lucky where you are. I don't believe in luck. I believe in manifestation, hard work, and you're meant to be there. Believe you're meant to be there, and don't give up on it. And it's not luck that you ended up where you are. You deserve it. And remind yourself that you're worthy. I highly recommend listening to affirmations. I am affirmations when you get up in the morning, because a lot of us have been raised to not feel like we should be where we're meant to be, or a lot of us are meant to believe, or being raised to believe, that it's just by chance that we ended up being successful. But success doesn't happen by chance. It starts with belief. And you need to believe that you're worthy. Because it really starts with the mind. So Knight of Swords, the Hierophant, and King of Swords. You really have to believe. Then you're going to meet, by September, October, you're going to meet someone who believes in you too. And you have to believe it first. Because, somebody can come to you. It's like if you're driving in a car, right? And the GPS tells you, turn right. And you're like, I don't want to turn right. You keep going. You have to turn right at some point. And that turning right is belief. Is that somebody else tells you that you're worthy, unless you believe it, unless you turn right and believe it, you can just keep going straight and go down a different path. But it has to come from you. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense. But you need, my advice to you, if you're going to take my advice, is believe you're worthy. And that starts with affirmations, daily affirmations, constant reminders. Because a lot of the way most of us are raised is to constantly doubt ourselves, to not believe we're worthy, to believe bad things about ourselves, But you need to start with you. And that's the balance I think you should be focusing on. Your advice and personal stories helps me so much with integrating my shadow side, understanding myself more. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for saying that. That's the whole point of why I tell those stories, because, I've learned from them, and I really believe when you learn, you teach, And yeah, that's the reason why I tell those stories. It's not to make myself feel better than, I had some comments. I don't really care about negative comments, but sometimes people just don't get the point of it. And it's okay if they don't, but they just don't have to be negative. So I'm very grateful that you have received it and it works out for you, because relatability is what we have. That's what I mean about the equalizer, the balance between us. It's who we are to each other, Yeah. That's what I have for you guys. I'm really excited for your new path, Strange Fruit. I really, really believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself too. First, in fact. And in some certain cultures, especially I remember you saying you were in South Africa, and I don't want to be negative about South Africa. I feel like I've been negative enough, and I don't want to go down that direction. But I remember my first restaurant job I had was in South Africa, actually. I used to work at this pizzeria in Sandton. And one of my colleagues came to me and he was like, "You walk like you think you're all that." And I said to him, "I believe I'm all that." And he was like, I remember I was 19, I was 18 at the time. I said to him, "I believe I'm all that." But certain cultures, especially if you're a woman and you believe you're all that, you can't believe you're all that. So we spend most of our lives not believing we're all that until it's too late. And I'm very grateful that something, my parents did, right? Is that they taught me to be confident. And that's why I love living in America. With confidence, people boost your confidence and you are allowed to be confident because confidence is everything. If you walk into a room and you're slouching, and I'm not saying anybody's doing that, I'm just giving an example. If you walk into a room and your body language is, "I don't feel worthy," that's energy. You walk into a room confident, you feel good, that's energy too. So we're always constantly giving off the kind of energy that we're going to be receiving back. And it starts with believing that we're worthy. That's number one. And if people respond to that in a negative light, it has nothing to do with you. They are afraid of themselves and their shadow side, their negativity is, and I've done it too. There've been confident people where I'm like, who do they think they are? And I have to remind myself, they just believe in themselves. Believe in yourself too, And all they have to do is believe in themselves and not buy into this culture of tearing someone else down to make yourself feel better. We can all be great. And that's what we need to promote in life. So that's what I have for you guys. Let me go eat and sleep because I'm literally falling asleep right now. My eyes are starting to close because I go to bed early, very early these days. So thank you guys for coming to this live, for being a member, being members. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you, Strange Fruit, for sharing your story, for allowing me to help you, and for being vulnerable enough to let me in, to let us in to your life. Vulnerability is a beautiful, very beautiful thing. And thank you so much for that. So I'll see you guys very soon. Remember, stay tuned for tomorrow. I will announce when the videos have dropped. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.